Yo, what's good, y'all? It's your boy Script here, back with another episode of the highly requested Doors to Success PlayBoi Carti edition. For those new, allow me to bring you up to speed real quick. For a good while, fans have undoubtedly noticed that artists of a certain caliber appeared to go through various rituals to achieve their success throughout their careers. These rituals comprise of a variety of things, from the promotion of occult and satanic imagery, partaking in some rather questionable activities, often likened to a humiliation ritual, and lastly, the sacrifice of a friend or family member. Well, in 2015, DJ Vlad interviewed New York rapper Nori, and at one point in the interview, Nori described his personal experience with fame, particularly at the height of his musical career. He explained how at a certain point in his career, when he was making 50,000+ per show and reaping all the benefits of a major label, he was faced with a few barriers that he likened to doors that he'd have to pass through in order to achieve more, if you will.
There's three different doors, right? There's three different ways to walk.
These doors consisted of doing some fruity shit, sacrificing someone close to you, or taking an independent route. Although success for those that partake is never guaranteed, it does seem like the ones who go through these doors get to reap the most benefits. So today we'll dive into the life of PlayBoi Carti and see what doors he's walked through to reach his current level of fame. PlayBoi Carti was born Jordan Terrell Carter on September 13, 1996, the same day Tupac died. A fact that has become something of a meme among Carti fans. Carti grew up in South Atlanta. This neighborhood is on the opposite end of the city from where he lives now, yet equally removed from the bustle of Atlanta's downtown. Quote, "It's a little slower than the city," he says of the area. Quote, "Out there got something to prove. Turn gangster overnight over there." During his early teenage years, basketball was his main focus, and he credits the sport with keeping him out of trouble. Quote, "That separated me from everybody else," he says. Going to practice, on the road, traveling for games all year round. Growing up, he looked up to his big brother Reggie, who introduced him to Gucci Mane and other music that was popular on the streets of Atlanta at the time. In high school, Carti, who at this time went by Sir Cartier, started skipping classes to go to a friend's house to record music, smoke some weed, and practically live that stoner lifestyle. In a 2016 interview with Complex, Carti said, quote, "My ma couldn't tell me shit, nobody could tell me shit." This kind of lifestyle, coupled with his hot-headed tendencies, led to an argument with his coach, causing him to drop his NBA dreams pretty quickly and shift his focus toward music. Young Carti at the time was your average teenager, working in retail from bagging groceries to his time at H&M. At the age of 14 going on 15, Sir Cartier, aka Carti, went on to release 2 projects, with more being known about his second tape titled THC, The High Chronicles. He also would release his first ever music video, where you see a young Carti roaming around South Atlanta strip malls and parking lots with a crew, filming your classic low-budget high schooler rap video. Now, if you were tapped into hip-hop in any way, shape, or form during the years of 2009 to 2013, artists like Mac Miller, Wiz Khalifa, Currency, and many more were holding down the underground, mixtape after mixtape, especially if you were about that stoner life. And after listening to his earliest releases, you could easily hear the influence from the artists I just mentioned. So with Carti prioritizing his music and even his job at H&M at the time, his attendance in school would get so bad that when it came to senior year, he didn't even know if he would be graduating. Carti said, quote, "I was in class with freshmen finishing work, and if I finished the 9 assignments before this time, I could graduate." He went on to say, "I didn't even have family there, cause nobody knew if I was gonna graduate." Despite Carti doubting at one point whether he'd even graduate, he seemed to have more than enough confidence that things would just pan out for him. He described how several times working at H&M, women would approach him and compliment his music. He took this as a sign that it was time to part ways with his job and take his music career seriously.
But anyway, I'm like this.
I picked up some Xanax before I came.
I'm like, nigga, what the fuck? Like, I don't want to work here no more. Niggas coming to the job, princess, look, like this. Like, yo, you Carti? Yeah, bro, that song you got fire as fuck. How long you been working here? That shit don't sound right, bro.
In 2013, Carti connected with rapper and producer Ethereal of Awful Records through a mutual friend. Carti, albeit young, was drawn to this unconventional group of diverse sounding Atlanta artists. It didn't take long for the collective to bring him under their wing, and he quickly became the little brother of the crew. It was around this time when he released his first song on an Ethereal produced beat through SoundCloud, releasing it under the name PlayBoi Carti. Rocking with this new crew for a short while, Carti got his chance to really build up some buzz within the underground Atlanta rap scene, performing at house parties and whatnot. Eventually, Carti would form a friendship with stylist Ian Connor, and this relationship would prove to be quite beneficial for Carti in his early come-up, as around 2014 at South by Southwest, Carti would do a show with producer collective 808 Mafia, and through the help of his friend Ian Connor, who's based out of New York and tapped in with the ASAP mob, introduced Carti to ASAP Rocky, who at this time was at the peak of his career, and according to Carti, the two hit it off pretty fast. However, it wasn't until later when Carti was invited to a few events by Rocky and got to hang out with the ASAP crew that their friendship grew deeper. Rocky was essentially acting as Carti's mentor, taking him under his wing. During this time, ASAP had launched his own creative agency and label by the name of Occult, and saw Carti as the perfect fit for the team. By 2015, Carti's buzz in the Atlanta scene was starting to outgrow his Awful Records counterparts, with his single Broke Boy making waves. So at 18, Carti decided to make the move to New York City to live with some family and friends while plotting on his next moves. The transition for him was pretty easy as his mom was actually from Brooklyn. Dropping his Awful Records affiliations, Carti would end up signing to Occult around 2015-2016, depending on your sources. This mentorship from Rocky really helped to get his foot in the door. In 2016, things would finally kick into high gear as he'd officially inked his first major deal with Interscope Records sometime in the fall of that year, as seen by this tweet from ASAP Ferg congratulating him on his deal. Then on April 14, 2017, PlayBoi Carti, with tons of underground hype around his name, released his first commercial mixtape, self-titled PlayBoi Carti, and on this tape had the Pierre-born produced track Magnolia. Paired with his unique sound and Occult-directed visuals, this song really blew Carti up on a grand scale. Although his first tape didn't do crazy first week sales, the tape proved to be a household name when it comes to that SoundCloud era of rap. And after gaining tons of recognition, Carti would end up linking with Philly rap artist Lil Uzi Vert, who I recently did a similar video about that you should go check out after this, making their smash hit Woke Up Like This, accompanied with visuals that got over 90 million views on YouTube. At this point, there was no denying, whether you were a fan of this new age sound of rap or not, that Carti was going to be an artist here to stay.
Nah, that ain't it, y'all.
Following up his first commercial release with the debut studio album Die Lit in 2018, which dropped with very little promotion. Granted, at this time, Carti was slowly entering his mysterious punk rock rap era, if you will. This project, especially at the height of its release, received mixed feedback from the fans, despite selling more in its first week. Initially, many felt he'd already gotten too comfortable with the fame, leading him to put out a lackluster project. However, that sentiment would change over time amongst his fans. In September of 2018, Carti, while touring overseas, would end up sparking a relationship with the Australian pop artist Iggy Azalea, and the two's relationship escalated fast, with them moving in together that same year, living in Atlanta. Then a little less than 2 years after meeting, the two would end up having a child by the name of Onyx. During this time, the details were kinda quiet until Iggy Azalea came out to the media explaining her frustrations with her child's father, aka Carti, going on record to say that Carti refused to sign the birth certificate or even be present at the birth of his child. Despite being dragged in the headlines by his baby moms, Carti didn't seem to be fazed with the comments or opinions of outsiders regarding his parental skills, if you will. Yet, amidst all this, Carti fans were growing increasingly eager for new music. After teasing what we now know as Whole Lotta Red, released in 2020, As far back in July of 2018, according to this Reddit post, fans were left hoping for leaks of tracks, while Carti remained relatively silent on the music and social media fronts, playing into his mysterious persona. But finally, after a 2-year wait, on Christmas Day 2020, Carti, instead of spending the day with his baby mom and child, cherishing his gift to life, decided to gift his fans his sophomore album, Whole Lotta Red. But I should mention that the very next day, Carti would post a video of him and his son spending some time. Yet it appeared that from this point on, Carti was about to go full-on anti-everything and start showing fans the inner zestiness he kept buried inside. On the tail end of 2020, with extreme hype surrounding PlayBoi Carti's sophomore album, Whole Lotta Red, Carti began to really tap into that mysterious aura of his that his fans seemed to appreciate, at least for a bit. Whenever he would pop out in the media or on his socials to promote this upcoming project of his, well, let's just say his actions were rather questionable. Now, before the PlayBoi Carti stans hop in the comments and say, oh, well, it's just an act for his album and all that type of nonsense, boy, if you don't get, man, just say you'd be gay for pay too. Because like the Uzi video and all the others, if you're pushing something that you know is against your own moral code, but also wrongs others through your influence, you're a sellout. Don't matter how you flip it. So yeah, let's just start with the photos and the way Carti kept posing in them leading up to this album. For anyone into photography or currently does photography, you're well aware of masculine and feminine poses, and a quick Google search could show you examples of the differences. In short, men's poses tend to avoid softening the pose with rounded shoulders or exaggerated shoulders, hips, and legs, while, of course, women do the opposite. Based on those examples you just saw in these photos of Carti, where do you think he falls? These look like pretty feminine poses to me. And look, I said it in the last video with Uzi, this isn't a red pill channel, I'm not preaching how to be a man, I'm simply pointing out the weak tendencies in Carti's character, and how a real strong-minded man wouldn't present himself this way, knowing that it would go against his moral codes, despite whatever money and attention it could bring to his brand. Like Lil Uzi Vert, Carti has been teetering the lines with his sexuality, stating in this interview with High Snobiety, quote, "If this world's going right, I'm gonna go left. If your cross is straight, then I'm gonna put my shit upside down. If you hate cigarettes, then I'm gonna smoke as many as I can. I'm anti-everything. I'm not going out my way to have people like, oh, what the fuck's Carti on? Is he gay or is he trolling? No, bro, I don't give a f. I'm being myself. I hate that I waited so long to be myself." Now, I'm sure one of Carti's stans will come across this video and say, how could he be gay? The dude has a baby mom. But hell, Diddy had Cassie and Kim Porter, but doesn't mean he wasn't doing no weird shit on the side as we've seen things come to light. I swear it's like some fans think because they listen to an artist's album from front to back, watch a couple of interviews, think they know these guys personally, when in fact artists are usually far from how they present themselves in the public eye. Promoting the single Meh off Whole Lotta Red came these photos where Carti seemed to take a lot of inspiration from fellow ATL suspect Young Thug, and I mean, come on, you can't tell me these don't seem sus.
That was real gay, man!
But things would get even worse, at least in my opinion, as he'd even address these allegations surrounding his sexuality on the track New Tank, where he says, quote, "I got me some hoes, they thought I was gay." This is actually something I forgot to mention in my Lil Uzi video because he did something very similar on his latest album Pink Tape where he said, quote, "I ate a day. How could you ever say Lil Uzi gay?" But let's just be real here. If these men didn't carry themselves the way that they did, no one would ever speculate on these things. I don't see anyone calling rappers like Currency or Big Crit gay, and it's obvious why. While they might not have the level of star power of an Uzi or Carti, they have respect for themselves, and that's something that money can't buy. With the album Whole Lotta Red, Carti whipped out the punk rock vampire aesthetic. The lyrics throughout the album consisted of your standard, repetitive, mind-numbing, bass-pumping music you would expect from Carti, with intoxicating lyrics such as, quote, "When I go to sleep, I dream about murder," repeated over and over again. The title of the track is No Sleep, with the E's converted to 3's displaying a 33. The word mind control in Gematria equals 137, the 33rd prime number. I say this because repetition is one of the best tools when attempting to brainwash someone. So one could only imagine what pumping those lyrics into your ears nonstop could do. Oh, and if the numbers confuse you, feel free to stick around and get a better understanding or bounce out of ignorance cause more are coming. Carti in 2021 did a shoot with high snobiety and man, I'ma just let these photos speak for themselves. Like, I could just sit here roasting his overly feminine poses he does in order to garner attention toward his music, but again, y'all know my stance on this type of fuckery. If you gay for pay, there's not much to say. Fast forward to 2024, and Carti left hip-hop blogs and fans alike in awe when paparazzi snapped some pics of him in a wildly questionable outfit, especially considering Carti views himself as a rapper who's really about that life. As you can see, the dude looks like he's rocking a thong under some camo pants, only to find out later that it wasn't a thong, but rather a male stripper-esque mesh bodysuit. But people, does this really make it any better? And to the Carti fans, I ask, is this your king? Now in Carti's defense, although the new age of rap seems plagued with zesty junkies pumping out repetitive music, even the biggest and toughest acts of the golden era had their fair share of questionable moments. For example, Tupac did have that weird ass photo shoot where he was naked in the bathtub with chains over his, and let's not forget when Biggie rapped, "When I met you, I admit my first thoughts was to trick. You look so good, huh? I'll suck on your daddies. I never felt that way in my life." Hey, yo! But back to Carti. I know I said I'd stop roasting this man, but like for real, when is there ever a time that a straight man should ever pose like this, dog? Bro looked like the photographer behind the camera was hitting him with the more passion, more energy. So from mesh bodysuits, crop tops, painted nails, and feminine poses, to Carti quite literally twerking on stage, looking like he's preparing for a twerk off with Ice Spice, I think it's fair to say that Carti has certainly opened the first door to success. On August 23rd, 2021, news broke that up-and-coming Atlanta artist and PlayBoi Carti affiliate R5 Homicide, born Rashad Dowdy, had passed away. At the time, the cause of his death was unknown. Rumors were spreading online that it was possibly tied to gang violence. Others suggested he took a bad Percocet, causing his demise, while most of the media seemed to have reported that he had self-deleted. R5 was gaining some buzz in the city with his crew, known as Homicide Gang, where he was the frontrunner. There were rumors he planned on signing to PlayBoi Carti's newly created label, Opium Records, before he sadly passed away. On Carti's Whole Lotta Red, released before R5's death, he shouted R5 out on the track Stop Breathing, which is ironic considering R5 would do just that less than a year later. It seems that when an artist achieves a career milestone, not always, but oftentimes, something strange happens either shortly before or after that moment. In PlayBoi Carti's case, he just earned his first ever Billboard #1 album, selling his highest first week numbers to date. However, exactly 34 weeks after releasing his first ever #1 album, his close friend R5 reportedly died of. Although no official cause of death has been released, at least according to what I could find during this recording, this seems to hold true as it hasn't been dispelled. Now, using the practice of English Gematria, which involves assigning a numerical value to each letter of the English alphabet, it allows you to generate a numerical value associated with letters, words, names, phrases, all of the above. When observing a narrative, you could spot patterns with certain words, names, or events. These values often share a deeper pattern associated with the date numerology behind these particular dates and events. By employing Gematria, we're able to uncover a deeper side of a story that isn't meant to be revealed. So a second ago I mentioned how just 34 weeks after the release of Carti's first ever #1, he lost a friend to. Notice in Gematria, using the 4-base cipher system, the words equates to 34 in full reduction, otherwise known as the most pure cipher. This is when you reduce each number to its singular form. For example, K is the 11th letter of the alphabet, so 1 plus 1 equals 2, hence K has the value of 2 in this cipher. In numerology, it's common knowledge that the numbers 1 through 9 are the purest numbers, with everything beyond just being repetitions or combinations, hence why it's considered the most pure cipher. So as we discussed, one of the infamous doors to success is to sacrifice someone close to you in order to feed the beast and excel further in the devil's playground that is the entertainment industry, with the key word here being sacrifice. The words sacrifice and ritual sacrifice equate to 73, along with the phrase committed, and from the release of Whole Lotta Red to the death of R5 Homicide is a span of 7 months and 30 days. In numerology, zeros are null, leaving us with the number 73. Naturally, I know people completely oblivious to numerology and Gematria will see this as a far reach, and that's fine. I'm not here to convince you. This video is simply laying out a pattern based on dates provided by media publications and information made publicly available. It is fact-based information verifiable by you at home using the same tools I've used in this video. If you find it rude or disrespectful to point out these patterns, it's apparent you're in an emotional state while watching this as opposed to a rational one. Now again, it hasn't been officially reported to this day what led to R5's cause of death, but all the media seems to point to. Note the phrase died by, which is common terminology used to avoid the negative connotations behind the phrase committed. Interestingly, this phrase matches perfectly in the reduction cipher with R5 Homicide, his stage name. Once again, Gematria reveals a pattern between one's name and their associated cause of death, at least according to media publications. R5 died at the age of 22, according to the reports. Notice the words died and dead both equate to 22, and R5 died exactly 22 days from Carti's 25th birthday at the time. It was stated in The Sun that he died on Monday, August 23rd, 2021. When you spell the date he died written as such, it equates to 139. 139 is the 34th prime number, and as we know from earlier, 34 is tied to the words. For those unaware, prime numbers are numbers that can only be divided evenly by 1 in themselves. Also notice how R5's real name, Rashad Dowdy, equates to 58 in the reduction cipher, matching the date he died. Now, I know people in the comments might say, well, Carti had other friends that died, so are they sacrifices too? And my best answer to that would be, if it's not in the media, like posted all on like Hip Hop DX and all these other publications, it probably wasn't tied to a ritual of some sorts. There's a reason why the media brings up these stories in connection to the artist. Otherwise, the stories would have been overlooked by mainstream publications, especially since R5 was far from an established artist when he passed away, with all due respect. But as usual, it's up to you watching to come to your own conclusion regarding this young man's passing and whether or not there was something more sinister behind it, or if the news is actually telling you the truth. So earlier in the video, I shared a quote from Carti himself describing his anti-everything attitude, as this is how he describes his fashion choices, and although that might be true, Carti is a product of a major label. Despite him founding his own label in 2019 under the name Opium, still backed by Interscope though. As I've said in previous videos, it's very common for us to see how signing to a major label changes the artist, whether it be their musical direction, fashion, or all of the above. Although I mentioned how Carti started acting out after the release of Whole Lotta Red, a deeper look reveals that he began toying with satanic imagery with the release of Die Lit, his debut album backed by Interscope. Here are images from his tour merch from 2018. As you could see, most of the imagery featured pentagrams, practically setting the stage for what was to come with his next album. When Whole Lotta Red came out, it really felt like Carti tapped into his villain era. From the upside down crosses, the one-eye symbolism in a bunch of his photos, and the wearing of devil horns to lying down in the middle of a pentagram. It's very clear he's leaning toward that punk rock rebellious image, similar to what I shared in the Lil Uzi video. I won't deny that using these images in their videos or merchandise is a great way to promote their brand, as it brings all types of attention and debate, leading to more people checking out their music. However, these images are all associated with negative connotations, and it's the promotion of this negativity coupled with the repetitive murder, sex, and drug-induced lyrics that subconsciously lowers one's frequency when listening to it. Not even on some overly metaphysical shit, but what you consume consumes you, what consumes you controls your life. Take the case of Juice WRLD. Once an average teen influenced by the artist before him, he eventually became an artist the younger rap fans would idolize. In an interview with Hot 107.9, Juice WRLD explained how listening to Future rap about sipping lean made it look cool, leading him to want to try it and eventually picking up a bad habit. Tragically, he passed away from drugs at the age of 21.
Hearing that music at such a young age, nigga, I was trying to sip lean in 6th grade. Listening to Dirty Sprite 1 and True Story.
I bring this up because PlayBoi Carti is seen in the same light as Future, at least to a younger, more impressionable generation. So who's to say his influence won't have negative impacts down the road? We've all heard that notion that back in the day, rappers used to rap about selling dope, and this would influence the ones listening to want to do the same, only to shift into this era of what some consider to be junkie rap, where everyone's a pill popping, lean sipping animal, and of course the fans will follow suit. Not all, of course, but a good chunk do. In 2022, Carti had fans further speculating on whether or not he's a Satanist when he posted a picture of his new tattoo, which was simply the word Satan on the back of his neck, also paired with the heartagram image, a combination of the heart and pentagram. He'd also gotten a tattoo of Baphomet on his abdomen, and above that is a cross, ironically crossed out. Just like my video with Lil Uzi, I mentioned how his love for Satanism seemed to be tied to his real name and stage name using Gematria, as you could see here. And I noticed a similar pattern with Carti as well. His real name, Jordan Carter, not including the middle, equates to 55, just like the word Satan, which is now tatted on the man's neck. Both of these artists are considered the biggest from the SoundCloud era that are still around, along with the likes of Trippie Redd and Lil Yachty. But it seems like Carti, Uzi, and Trippie play off that satanic stuff the most. But anyway, after not releasing any new music for a while, Carti came back in 2024 with 2 tracks dropped on his YouTube page, both racking up millions of views in just a few days. And in one of the tracks titled 2024, he raps the lines, "Done grew me some horns, baby I'm from hell." And he also says, "I'm evil like Lucy's son," referring to Lucifer. And look, it's certainly up to interpretation, as some just believe he's playing into an act or a character, while others like myself believe he's actually trying to invite that stuff into his life, and more importantly, the fans who follow and support him. I really do resonate with the quote, "The greatest trick the devil ever played was convincing the world that he did not exist." Now, with Carti almost 10 years officially in the rap game as a signed artist, there is still a lot more that's likely to come, as he's also been focused on ushering in some new artists to his fans under his Opium imprint, with the likes of Ken Carson, Destroy Lonely, and Homicide Gang, which consist of 2 men who were friends with R5 Homicide. They weren't really rappers at the time and stood more in R5's corner, but eventually stepped up after his death and signed to Carti's label. Granted, they're on Carti's label, he has the say when it comes to their branding, and it's clear they're all following suit with the imagery, from the upside down crosses to the occult inspired clothes. As of now, we'll have to just wait and see what else is in store for Carti's career and the ones around him. He did recently perform at the Grammys with Travis Scott, and he also made a super unnecessary appearance on The Weeknd's track titled Popular, which is about the concept of selling one's soul, so it looks like he's in pretty deep if you ask me. But of course, I'll let you watching be the judge. Is Carti just playing into a bit, or is he really involved in something more sinister? Anyway, it's about that time I wrap this thing up, man. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, just know I appreciate you for making it to the end. You guys know the drill. Drop me a comment below. I want to hear your opinions. Drop the love, the hate, it don't matter. Let me know what's up. Smash that goddamn like button, share the video, and most importantly, subscribe, man. It's been your boy Script, and I'm out of here. Peace.